Hi there, good noon everyone, what's up? So we meet each other once again this time around so that we can delve deeper into the world of XAT, XAT, your Xavier's aptitude test. So how's your preparation coming along? Do you have any specific issues, questions or concerns? If yes, go ahead and share those with me in the comment box, and I'd definitely go ahead and help you with that as well. And this is the last day of this year. Yeah, by God. I mean, this is one of those years where I did not even realize where it went. Pata hi nahi chala. After a couple of COVID years, I think at least I rejoiced a lot at a fairly normalish year. But let's make the next one count. So you are at BYJU'S exam prep channel dedicated to the CAT aspirants, the MBA aspirants. My name is Vikrant and I help you primarily with areas related to English and communication. So let's go ahead and dive into our questions. Hi Guru Prasad, good to see you. Before we call it a day, it is actually terrific to meet all the people who've been fairly regular in these sessions. So any particular area, any particular aspect that bothers you more, that troubles you more, let me know and I can help you with that. So let us go ahead. Let's dive into our questions straight away. Sorry, before the questions, of course, the overview. So we know that XAT happens to have 165. It's a 165-minute exam. So when I say 165-minute exam, I'm basically talking about part 1 of the exam. Of course, we also have a part 2 that contains questions on GK and a topic for essay that adds another 25 minutes to your process, which means that you'd be in there for a good 3 hours and 10 minutes. The total number of questions that you get in part 1 is 75. Part 2, of course, gives you 26 questions, one essay topic plus 25 GK questions. Then there are 3 sections that you get in part 1. You, of course, have verbal and logical ability. Then there is a section which is new to XAT called decision making, and then another section that talks about quantitative aptitude and data interpretation. There is no sectional time limit. You can allocate your time in whichever way you want to, and in such exams your question selection becomes really very important. A round based approach, that becomes really very important. So you need to ensure that you pay attention to these things. But by now you have already gone on to write quite a few of such exams, so you are a pro now, isn't it? Then marking scheme, +1 and -2.5 for every wrong. But then you also have negative marking for unattempted questions. You can leave 8 questions unattempted without any penalty, but every question that you leave beyond those 8, they deduct 0.1. So should this affect your decision? So I'd say in those questions where you're 50-50, you may go ahead and mark your answers, but generally you should not really get bothered too much about it, because if you're not at all sure, you still mark it and you end up getting it wrong, you would actually be losing 0.25 instead of 0.10. So maybe. Okay. So with that, let us get into our questions. So here are the directions for the first 6 questions. Those of you who are already subscribers of this channel, you are fam, welcome back. And those of you who are new, please do not forget to press the subscribe button and join us so that we meet by design and not by chance. Okay, so if you've read the directions, you would realize that the directions do not tell you much. Read the following questions, answer them based on the instructions provided, but let me give you a hint. Each one of these 6 questions is going to be based on grammar. So what I'm basically doing is that we know XAT obviously asks us reading comprehension. We also know that XAT has questions like parajumbles, but these are 2 varieties that you've already practiced a lot. So I am going to focus on the rest of the question types that XAT has. Okay, and I'll make sure that we get some amount of practice for those other question types where our practice may not have been adequate or enough so far. So all the 6 questions are going to be grammar based. Yashasvi has a question. Conditional clauses, which tense to use and where? Need a mini recap. Absolutely, Yashasvi, why not? So, you know, conditional sentences are your if-then sentences, and there are 4 such structures. So, you can use present indefinite, and then in the other clause, you'll use future indefinite. Then the other structure is where you can use simple past. And on the other side, you are going to use would, could, should, or might along with the second form of the verb. Then third is where we use past perfect and what is called the conditional perfect. On the other side, conditional perfect is would, could, should, or might plus have plus the third form of the verb. And the fourth and the last structure is where you use simple present on both the sides. And now the other part of your question was where to use these. Okay, so the first one, this shows that if the condition is fulfilled, the outcome is guaranteed. The second structure shows that if the condition is fulfilled, even then the outcome is not guaranteed. Third one is called an impossible conditional. This talks about a condition that a person was supposed to fulfill in the past, but he did not. And as a result, the outcome that could have happened has also not happened. And the fourth one is known as a pseudo conditional. This is essentially used to talk about regular or habitual actions. It is not even a true conditional sentence. This is a sentence where the if can be replaced by when. It is not going to be the case in the other 3 sentences. So I hope that essentially takes care of your question. That's a highly condensed summary. Of course, in the classes, we'd go ahead and offer a lot more examples, maybe use some mnemonics to ensure that you retain this too. So will that work? Yashasvi, do give it a thumbs up and like the session if this answers your question. Okay, so with that, let us dive into our first question. You know, XAT has its own way of asking questions, right? XAT can frame questions in different ways. So I am going to take you through those different ways today as well. So here is the first question on your screen. So you have some sentences. You are supposed to choose the ones which are grammatically correct, right? So here are the sentences along with your options. So please start. And the moment you are able to reach your answer, just share it with me in the comment box. Fast. In the meanwhile, hi Abhijit. Jaidev, absolutely correct, but we can also use could and might. Good afternoon, Hamza. So what is your answer? Hi Ranvijay. Keep thinking, guys. Keep thinking. Share your answer with me. Oh, I've lost the power at my place. So it'll be back in a minute, at the most 2 minutes. So until then, you may see me in a weird avatar, but with no light and all. But please bear with me, and once the power is back, I'll be able to use all the lights. Okay, so sociopath narcissist has shared his answer. His take is that fourth, fifth, and sixth are the correct sentences. Okay. Manasa thinks it should be E, 1, 3, and 5. Okay. I think it's a good idea to read these sentences to see if there is a grammatical error anywhere, because that can help you eliminate the options rather quickly, isn't it? So, food is a bigger problem than the virus for the poor. Sounds all right. In the second sentence, should we say in the past year and half, or should it be in the past year and a half? So it's in the past year and a half. The second sentence is missing A, so I know that second sentence should definitely not be my answer. So option A is eliminated. Third, I have experienced life among the tribals in the Andaman Islands. Looks all right. Fourth, sometime I get terrible headaches. Hang on, hello. Is it sometime or is it sometimes? Which one do we use? Sometime or sometimes? Should be sometimes, right? That's the correct adverb. So fourth is also wrong, which means that we can eliminate options B and D as well. So it all boils down to fifth and sixth. Fifth says her parents are blind to her faults. Sounds fine. Sixth, I am astonished over the number of people who follow him. Oh, there is a mistake of preposition here. You do not use over after astonished. You are astonished at something and not over something. So sixth is also wrong. So the correct answer choice, so C is also ruled out. So the correct answer choice here for us will be option E, 1, 3, and 5. And I reckon some of us definitely did get it right. So Manasa get it right, Shikhar got it right, Prakshi has also managed to get it right. So 1, 3, and 5, very subtle issues. So you'd notice that in the XAT exam, you'd find quite a few errors from articles, quite a few errors from prepositions. So make sure that you have revised these two areas rather thoroughly, apart from, of course, everything else. So subtle, there are some very tiny things. Radha has also managed to get this right. So here comes the next question. Once again, choose the grammatically correct sentences from the given lot, and here is your question. Let us see what you choose this time around. So the next one now, guys, the next one. Okay, so I'm waiting for the answers now. Right, so sociopath, as usual, is the first one to start. I shouldn't even say as usual, it's just the second question for the day, but yep. So, okay, so far, 3 answers. All the 3 are A. Let's see if we get something different. You sure? Are you sure of the fourth? Is the fourth one grammatically correct? Just asking, okay? Okay, Guru Prasad has also shared A. I stated Guru Prasad and my phone thought it, I'm saying okay Google. Okay, so you guys are absolutely right. The correct answer here is indeed A. Fourth is correct. Police is usually, going by at least the traditional English, a plural noun, and therefore it is okay to use have with it. So fourth is correct. What is wrong with second? Second uses most unique. That's erroneous. Now, you know, there are some adjectives that cannot have comparative and superlative degrees. Unique is one of those adjectives. Unique already means one of its kind. So you cannot make anything rarer than that or more special than that, right? Then in the third sentence, it should have been fewer students and not less students. Remember, less is used with uncountable nouns. Fewer is used with the countable nouns. Yes, Manasa, police can be used as both singular and plural, but in traditional English, we generally treat it as a special type of noun called a mass noun, and it is mostly plural. Okay, here comes the next one, but the directions have changed slightly this time around. So in the previous two questions, I asked you to pick up those sentences which were grammatically correct. But this time around, I want you to pick up sentences that are grammatically incorrect. Okay, so you are going to pick up the incorrect sentences this time around, and here is your question on the screen. Oh, Yashasvi, you have managed to, are you talking about the previous question? Are you live? Or have you managed to actually beat sociopath narcissist to the answer this time around? I think the previous one, right? You probably, there's a lag, huh? You should check. Okay. So what's your take on this particular question? Okay, so no, sociopath is maintaining his streak of being the first. Whew. Ayush, why don't you write C, yaar? Makes it easier for me and you both. Okay, so a lot of us have opted for A. Okay, so let's start with sentence 1. Sentence 1 is correct or incorrect? Let us check. Kirti claims that if she got an MBA after finishing her bachelor's degree, she might have been considered for the position. Now you notice, we are talking about impossible conditional. Fortunately, we talked about these at the beginning of the class, beginning of this session, remember? So we're talking about an impossible conditional. Kirti says that in the past, had she received an MBA, she could have aimed or she could have been considered for a particular position. In such situations, we use past perfect after if. So instead of if she got an MBA, it should have been if she had gotten an MBA. And even otherwise, even if you do not know that, this is one of those rare areas where we have a formula, right? So after if you are using the simple past, then the other clause should have used conditional past. Okay, might plus the second form of the verb. Then you would not use have been. My bad, yaar. I think there are frequent electric trippings at my place. So I'm getting these issues in between for a very small while. Please tolerate. Please bear with that. So first is incorrect. Let us look at second. A lot of you thought that second is incorrect. Is that true? Is second indeed incorrect? The doctor recommended that the patient's skin sign the form. That is correct. I don't know, if you can tell me a specific issue that you have with this, then I can help you a little more. Otherwise, technically, this is a sentence that tests your understanding of something called subjunctive mood. One of those moods that often creates problems for a lot of people. Okay, so you remember the classification of numbers. You have real numbers and you have imaginary numbers. Similarly, when it comes to actions, you have real actions and you have imaginary actions. So real actions are found on the timeline. You can go to the timeline and say that, okay, this is where it happened. Imaginary actions, somebody thought that they do it, but they have not really happened. Or at least you're not sure that they've really happened. So that is something, such imaginary actions are dealt with in sentences using subjunctive mood. So they have their own slight difference, slight change. Okay, third, the interview was broadcasted live over the internet. Ooh, broadcast is an irregular verb. The first, second and third, all the three forms of broadcast are broadcast. You do not even have a word called broadcasted in English. So third is incorrect. Sorry, yaar. Fourth, bacteria is the most common infection causing agent. Oh, bacteria, plural. So instead of is, we should have used are. Remember, the singular is bacterium and the plural is bacteria. So subject verb agreement, when the subject is singular, the verb must also be singular. When the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. So fourth was also incorrect. And fifth, it is I who needs support. Absolutely all right. This sentence is correct. So because we are being asked for the incorrect sentences, our answer should be 1, 3 and 4, which is option E. Okay, so Yashasvi, less and few. Less is used for uncountable, few is used for countable. Few and a few. Few is a negative expression. Few basically means no. So if I say few students have liked this session, it means no student has liked this session. On the other hand, if I say a few students have liked this session, it means that, okay, there are some students who have liked it. Their number could be small, but they have liked it nonetheless. In fact, yes, when I look at it, only a few students have liked this session so far. Don't do this, yaar. My team gets worried, huh? So should be more likes, and the answer for this question should be option E. And those of you who could not get the second one right and are confused about it, please make sure that you go ahead and read up on subjunctive mood. So उससे पहले कितना भी पढ़ ले बनी कुछ ना कुछ मिस हो ही जाता है. हाँ यार, when it comes to grammar and vocabulary, चाहे जितना मर्जी पढ़ लो, सब चीजें तो कवर नहीं हो पाती हैं. और लाइट एक बार फिर चली गई यार मेरे यहाँ. But it's okay. Every mistake is basically an opportunity for us to learn. So imagine, instead of doing this in the exam, isn't it wonderful to do it here with me so that you also get to learn from it? हाँ, थोड़ी देर. अच्छा, अब लाइट वापस आ गया है. So hopefully, please explain 5. 5 is correct. So if you can tell me what you think is wrong, then I can perhaps help you. Otherwise, अब correct को क्या explain करूँ यार? Fine, right? So who, when it is used as a relative pronoun, it takes the number of the noun or pronoun that it refers to. So here it refers to I. I is singular. Because it is singular, the verb must also be singular. So we are using needs. Ah, Guru Prasad, dialogue, huh? Light goes, knowledge glows, and it is happening very frequently today. Light is apparently going very, very ridiculously high frequency tripping, yeah. That's a little weird. That happens rarely, but it's okay. As Guru Prasad says, light goes, knowledge keeps on glowing, so it's all right. No, motivational video. It is never, it is me. Never, never, never. Whenever a sentence has it is, it was, or it will be, and there is a pronoun immediately thereafter, immediately after it is, it was, it will be, it'll always be the subject. It is never going to be the object. If you use me, that will become grammatically incorrect. Okay, the next question, slightly different this time around. So 5 sentences, out of the 5 you are supposed to choose the one which is grammatically correct. Let's see what you mark as your answer here. Brad Jacob, yes, she's better than I is absolutely correct, but it is not an example of it is me. It is another one of those instances where we use subjective case instead of objective case. So different scenario nonetheless, but I really love that you know this. Really love it. What's your answer for 4th? Should I give you a hint? My hint here is, I'm just looking at the first sentence. My hint is dangling modifier. So what is a dangling modifier? So listen to these 2 sentences and tell me something, okay? While climbing the tree, Hari fell down. While climbing the tree, Hari fell down. In this sentence, who is climbing the tree? Pretty obvious, right? Hari. Now, let me give you another sentence. While climbing the tree, the bottle fell down. Okay, while climbing the tree, the bottle fell down. Now in this sentence, who was climbing the tree? The bottle. Well, that's absurd. Bottle can't climb the tree. So in this sentence, the person who is performing that action of climbing the tree is missing altogether. Similarly, if you look at sentence A, coming out of the airport gates, Mishra's wallet was stolen. But who was coming out of the airport gate? The wallet. That's absurd. That can't happen. So sentence A is wrong. Okay, B, coming out of the airport gates, the wallet was stolen. But once again, who is coming out of the airport gates? The wallet. That can't be. So B is incorrect. C, as the wallet was being stolen, Mishra was coming out of the airport gates. But whose wallet? Whose wallet was it that was getting stolen? D, Mishra's wallet was stolen as he was coming out of the airport gates. That's correct. And E, going out of airport gates, Mishra's wallet was stolen. Once again, dangling modifier, who was going out of the airport gate. So when you look at A, B and E, all the 3 make the same mistake. D on the other hand is absolutely right. So that gives you the idea in a very unambiguous manner, and that is why that should be our answer. Okay. And here comes the next question. Let's get ready for this. Once again, choose the grammatically correct sentence from the options provided. Let us see which one you choose now. Prakshi, can you, I think you probably a few seconds behind. Huh? So if you can just tap and bring yourself up to speed. Okay, that's quick. That's quick. So I've gotten D, E and A as our Answers so far. But in the D, is this all right? The string feels loose. Is it LOSE or should it be OOSE? So loose is the opposite of win, whereas loose is the opposite of tight. And look at E. If you lost a kite when the string felt loose, once again should have been OOSE. So I think both D and E have the same mistake. You can definitely rule them out. What else have we picked up? So A, E and D. Okay, let's look at A. When flying a kite, you can always tell when you lose a kite because the string feels loose. That's right. That's right. Anything wrong with B? This loose is wrong. Should have been LOSE. And here it should have been LOOSE. Once again, the same mistake. So yes, the correct answer is indeed option A. So it was all about loose versus loose. So tricky at times, huh? Okay, here comes the next question. I'm really glad that a lot of us managed to get this right eventually. And here is the last grammar-based question. It is slightly longer, so I had to use a different slide format. And it is also going to be tricky. So please make sure that you read it carefully, and then my advice will be use elimination to arrive at the answer rather fast. Go ahead. Take your time and answer this question, but do answer it, okay? This, as you can see, this tests your understanding of parts of speech. Motivational video, we have a session. Unfortunately, I can give it to you straight away. You remember this series called Last Lap to XAT? Where we bring a session for you at 7 p.m. every day. The session that we have today is on critical reasoning. So just tune in at 7, attend the session, and I'm sure you'd be better off when it comes to CR. Ooh, let us see who answers this question now. I should give you a little more room, huh? So that you can read the last option more thoroughly. Okay, so Yashasvi has picked up A, and we also have an E. Another vote for A, thanks to Prakshi. And then Brad has evened the score by putting in an E in the mix. Oh, Ankit has brought in one more answer, C. Shivam has introduced B. भाई इकलौता डी बचा है जिसे किसी ने गोद नहीं लिया. डी को बुरा लग सकता है, जल्दी ही कोई डी को भी गोद ले ले तो अच्छा है. But okay, so let's look at, I'll just simply go ahead and look at their parts of speeches. Okay, the reception is a noun, Darwinism is a noun, bedeviled is a verb. Either when either is used along with or, then it is a conjunction. Okay, so let us see if we can answer this question on the basis of these four so far. So first is a noun. First is not a gerund. Gerund is where you use verb plus ing as a noun. So we can rule out B. So we can definitely rule out B on the basis of the first. Second is a noun. Okay, won't help us. Third is a verb. So B is already ruled out. Either is a conjunction. So we can rule out D as well. It is not an adverb. So we're left with A, C and E. We need to actually go further. What else should I see? No specific word. You notice specific is an adjective and no modifies it. So no becomes an adverb. So seventh should be an adverb. The first says it's an adjective. Let's rule it out. C also says it's an adjective. Let's rule it out. So that actually leaves us with option E. So E is your answer. If you look at the rest, points is of course a verb. Distinct is an adjective. Right. In this case, elect is going to be a noun because it also happens to have an adjective before it, a possessive case before it. So these are the parts of speeches for all the words, and I think when we tally it, E turns out to be the right one. The problem with A is that you notice specific is an adjective. No is modifying specific. Anything that modifies an adjective is called an adverb. So that is why all those options where seventh is labeled an adjective can be eliminated. So there you go. Can be tricky. As I said, XAT can at times ask you questions based on familiar concepts in a novel way, in a new way that can make it a little more time consuming, a little more attention sapping. Okay, so here comes the next set. So thankfully you are moving away from grammar now. So now you'd actually come across a few sentences with blanks. XAT has a history of giving us 3 to 4 blanks in fill in the blanks. So they usually give you 3 or 4 blanks. That makes it a fair bit challenging. So choose the option that best fits the blank and share that as your answer in the comment box with me. So here comes your next question. Question number 7. This time around, fill in the blanks on your screen. Go ahead and tell me what you think. Oh, Shivam, I have here. We actually happen to have a lag of, I mean, normally when I beam it from here and you receive it, you typically have a gap of around 12 to 15 seconds. So there are times when I move on by then. So if you still want to discuss it, debate it, just grab a screenshot, post it in our Telegram group, and tag me if you want a faster response. You can tag me or anybody from the team. Okay, Guru has marked C. Let's see what others choose. So slush. Slush is basically snow that has started to melt. Then we have sludge. What is sludge? Sludge is basically soft, wet soil. And then we have this word called slosh. Slosh is basically to cause a liquid to move noisily. To cause a liquid to move noisily by making some very rough, large movements. So now that you know the meanings of all the three, I think the answer should actually be pretty straightforward, isn't it? I will mark A. So see, we are talking about the Himalayas, and if you're dragging your feet through something in the Himalayas, it should be what? Snow. So that is why slush. Then you're talking about the Ganges Delta, where you'd essentially have what? Wet soil, so sludge. And then of course sloshing is the verb that goes into the third blank. So A is your right answer. Slush versus sludge. That definitely went and troubled some people. Here comes the next one. Go ahead and mark this and then we'll see. Okay, somebody is asking me for the IFT response sheet, IFT results. Pranav, I actually expected it to have come by now, but expect it anytime soon, yaar. Anytime soon. Should have happened by now, actually. Okay, so for question number 8, let me just share the meanings with you. I think let's start with the second blank because it gives you just two options, felicitate versus facilitate. So felicitate means to praise someone, to congratulate someone, whereas facilitate means to make something easier or at times even to make something possible. So when you decide, can you decide to facilitate Arun going by this sentence? You know that in a fill in the blanks, you're supposed to read it entirely. So in the second blank, we need to put in felicitate over facilitate, which means that option B and C are definitely ruled out. Let's look at the first one. Felon basically means a criminal. Feral, what is feral? Feral is I mean, normally, you have some, let's say you have a pet animal and that somebody abandons that pet animal and now that animal, which was formerly a pet, has now become wild. Then you call such an animal a feral animal. So I'd say feral will be wild or existing in a wild state, especially when that was formerly a pet. Federate. Federate is to join together to form a federation. Remember a federation where different smaller groups come together to form a larger group? That's a federation. So federate is that verb. So despite being perceived as federate by all, can't even go. Febrile. What is febrile? Febrile has two meanings. First is extremely active or too excited or imaginative or emotional. And the other meaning of febrile is caused by fever. And then you have feckless. Feckless is somebody who is weak in character, somebody who lacks determination. So in the first blank, what should I use? Can I put in felon? Maybe. B and C are already used out. Febrile? No. Feckless? Yes. So in the first blank, we can put in felon, we can put in feckless. So my answer has to be either A or E. Let's look at the third blank with prominent freckles. You remember a freckle? Freckle is a small pale brown spot on the skin, usually on the face, especially of a person who is very fair skinned. So these fair skinned people can at times have these small pale brown spots on the skin. So they are called those spots are called freckles. So with prominent freckles, yes. With prominent freckles, yes. Let's look at D. So that the whole affair would be febrile to Arun's father who was recuperating. No. Felicific, yes. Felicific basically means something that causes happiness. So I think we'll prefer felicific over febrile and therefore the answer should be option E. So there you go. So you notice the problem with A is that This last blank is an issue. The Radha, when you say careless question mark, what are we talking about? Which word are we talking about? I don't see none of these words actually has this meaning careless. Okay, Yashasvi, febrile is caused by fever, or febrile can also mean somebody who's excessively active or emotional. Okay, and feckless is somebody who does not have who's weak willed. Okay, who is not very who does not possess a strong determination. So that's feckless. Okay, with that, let me take you over to your next question. Here it is. No, rather, feckless cannot be used for careless. They'd be significantly different. Okay, here is your question. What's your take? मोटिवेशनल वीडियो फैक्टलेस का मतलब होता है somebody who has weak character or somebody who lacks determination. So अगर 2022 में किसी ने अपने बहुत सारे रेजोल्यूशंस रखे थे वो अगर पूरे ही नहीं कर पाया क्योंकि डिसिप्लिन नहीं था, डिटर्मिन्ड नहीं था, so you can call that person feckless. Okay, so for question number 9, the answer should be what? Somebody is marking E and also calling it easy. Well, the correct answer is D. Plant food is made up of certain things. So you'd call them ingredients or constituents. Why would you call them elements? When something consists of certain other things, then you say that it has these ingredients or these constituents. You would not call them elements. That will be different. So that's the problem with E. So in the first blank, you could have used decays, rot, decompose, all of that could have worked. In the last blank, we could have used bother, but here we could not have used disintegrate, so you can rule it out. We could not have used vex or pertain. Concern and affect could have gone, but the second blank settles it. Yes, that does happen at times, Jacob. Yes, absolutely yes. Yashasvi has given us a grammatical perspective too, that decompose will anyway be grammatically incorrect. If you want to put it in this sentence, it should be decomposes. Remember, grows and decomposes because the subject is singular. So grammar also was an issue for us when it came to picking up E. I think a more obvious reason for us to eliminate E here. So the correct answer is D. And here comes the last fill in the blank. But as usual, in XAT, they can test your grammar even using fill in the blanks. So here is one such question which is aiming at testing your grammar with the help of fill in the blanks. This should not take you much time. Let's see what you choose. Okay. Prepositions can at times be tricky, isn't it? So here is my answer. The correct answer here will be A. Difficulty in getting to this place to reach it without the grace of Lord. So in the third blank, you cannot use in or to. You needed to have some noun or pronoun present. And in the first three, I think that in and to are essentially the issues. And there is unfortunately no formula or rationale. When it comes to prepositions, well, a particular preposition follows a particular verb, adjective, or noun, and we are supposed to know that. And with that, let's go ahead and work on the next three questions where I want you to answer these on the basis of the instructions that are provided. So here is the first one. This is your critical reasoning question. Somebody was missing CR. So once again, we have a series going on. It's called Last Lap to XAT at 7 p.m. every day. So we have another session at 7 today where you'd get to work on CR extensively. But here is a CR question for you in the interim. What's your answer? And I know that XAT has 5 answer choices, but I could not fit 5 options onto this single slide. So please make do with 4 and share your answer with me. Take a minute, something that can at times take time. So what's your answer? What can be inferred? Okay. So let us see. Now, you know that whenever the question asks you for an inference, every answer choice claims to be a conclusion. So we just go ahead and label them as true, false, can't say. The paragraph says nothing about Gandhi. So my answer, well, my label for A will be can't say. B, Varna system originally referred to a scientific division of labor and was horizontal in nature. Is there anything in this paragraph that tells us that it was originally scientific and horizontal? Nothing that can help us determine that, so can't say. Certain communities lost their original higher status by the establishment of vertical caste system. Now, when you call it a befitting example, then it means that it displayed a similar trait. And C, going by that similar trait logic, will turn out to be true. D, does it talk about what happens in the developed countries? Nothing in the paragraph to support it. So once again, can't say. So A, B and D were all cannot be determined. C is true, and that is why C should be our answer for this particular question. So that's how I look at it. Okay, here comes the next one. The evidence that best resolves the above debate will be. So first up, figure out what the debate is and then see how you can resolve it. Okay, so Guru, that was quick. That was quick, huh? You must have a really nice reading speed, huh? So once I have 2-3 more answers, we can start and discussing it. So I have one answer so far. Give me 4 more answers. Come on. 4 more answers. And then I'll know that everybody is through. Okay, 2 more, 3 more, 4 more. Okay, terrific, fantastic. So we are getting B, D, and E. I think all of us so far have eliminated A and C, and I agree with you. So let's rule out A and C. Now, let's look at B. Ah, Guru, lucky you, man. So look at B. B talks about number of predictions which have come true. Now come to think of it. What if I made 500 predictions in the past? And out of these 500 predictions of mine, 50 came true. Okay. Whereas you made only 50 predictions in the past. Okay, so that's me. Out of which 40 predictions came true. So which one of the two is more accurate, me or you? Who's more accurate? I am more accurate or you are more accurate? Actually, you are more accurate because 80% of your predictions are coming true. But if I look at the absolute number, then I appear to be better. But then, will that absolute number make sense? Unless we know the base, unless we know the total number of predictions that were made, right? So that's the problem here. That's the problem with B. You're looking at the total number of predictions which have come true without looking at the total number of predictions made. That's the exact problem with D as well. Whereas E takes care of it by comparing the percentage of the predictions. So that is why we should choose E over B or D. Okay. So that is what makes E a better answer choice. And by now I realize that I should not have used I and you and asked you a question, because I can now understand when sociopath wrote you but me that I should have used A and B, Ram and Sham, something along the lines. Bad choice, huh? But it's all right. That's how we all learn. Okay, here comes this next question that tests a concept which does get asked in XAT occasionally. Remember? Figures of speech. So which of the following sentences uses a metaphor? For those of you who've studied it, it should be easy. Let's see what you choose. Brad Jacob, yes, you can say in a way, yes. A bit of a mathematical notion, yes. Prakshi, we were talking about the best way of resolving it. And when you compare the other 5, when you look at the other 4, they will not even offer a solution. They'll not help you resolve it. Whereas E creates a possibility of resolving it by evaluating it in the future, and that's still okay. The other options would not have done that. And we have Yoga World with some fancy emojis now. Well, I don't know what fun do you get from these emojis, and what exactly is it even supposed to mean? I figured out the rest of the emojis with such great difficulty. They at times even today stump me. Somebody gave me a lecture on the difference between sending somebody a black heart or a red heart or a purple heart, and I still forget that. Okay, so the correct answer here is option B. You know, metaphor is where you compare two things, two entities without using the words like or as. So you see, the capitalist is a parasite on the back of the labor. So the capitalist is being compared to a parasite without using like or as. Whereas in the other sentences we do not even have a metaphor. So somebody is marked D. Let's read D. For a better balance between this, including measures. No metaphor in D or no comparison. Okay. Sahil says no difference, depends on who you are. Radha says color preference. That is exactly what I thought. But then I was told that is not how it works. So just like me, I think you guys too, if you do not know about the difference between those different colors of hearts, Google it, huh? Or would you? No, we shouldn't really be conducting a session on BYJU'S exam prep on that. I can do that. But yes. Okay, so here comes the next set of two questions for you. So थोड़ी कविता हो जाए. So let us go ahead and go through a poem. We know that every year we get a poem that has one or two questions and we are supposed to do that. So shall we start with the poem? And as you know, अब चाहे यार कविता पोएट्री चाहे अंग्रेजी में ही क्यों ना हो, मगर हम कविता शेर पोम्स शेर तभी करते हैं जब इरशाद बोला जाए, है ना. अपना कल्चर है ना. तो दोनों लोगों इरशाद लिखो, इरशाद, और फिर उसके बाद पोम आएगी. Ah, so here you go. Here is the poem for you on your screen. Right, so why don't you read it? I think this change of weather at times gets to me, man. So I hope you've read it by now. Just drop in a yes in the comment box if you've read it. Fantastic. So here is the first question based on the poem for you. The lines seem to be a part of which of the following? Anglican burial service, some apocalyptic climax, or of course the other three. So what's your answer? We also have Hermione now. Poetry does require a bit of magic, so it's good to have you around. Radha, that's remarkable. So what's your answer, guys? Would you like to have a look at it again? So before I discuss, here is the poem again. Why don't you read it once? So you notice this particular part. This makes it very clear that The poem is an autobiographical snippet. So there is no sermon here. Sermon is where you lecture somebody on morals and virtues. Nothing of that sort. There is no burial happening. There is no apocalypse or utter destruction. Then nihilistic epiphany. Epiphany is a sudden realization. Nihilistic epiphany is an epiphany that tells us that all the systems and organizations and customs of the world are useless. They mean nothing. Or as we call it in Hindi at times, nihilistic epiphany is where you realize sab maya hai. Sab moh maya hai. Kuch sach nahi hai. But then nothing of that sort was being shared in these lines, and that is why even D can be ruled out. But the last few lines made it clear that the author was talking about something from his own life, something that he experienced. So when you say apocalyptic climax, yoga world, apocalypse is the end, Qayamat. So there was nothing apocalyptic there. It was just talking about what happens. And even here, you notice this. Even here, if you notice this particular part, I think my pen isn't working. All right, here. Even here, the tone is positive. So, nihil means no, nil, nothing. So, nihilism is a philosophical ideology which says that things mean nothing. The social structures and the organizations and the customs that we have, basically they mean nothing. The political structure also means nothing. What is the meaning of option A? Mayuri, when people die, you typically have that service. I am a Hindu, so for people in my religion are cremated. Then there are other religions where people are buried, right? So you're talking about a burial service. So somebody who's died is being buried, and Anglican basically means pertaining to the British or the English customs. Oh yes, motivational video. Annihilation means total, utter, complete destruction. When annihilation is when you are left with nothing, nil, zero. Okay, and here is the last one. Which of the following lines from the poem, in fact, it should be which of the following line from the poem is oxymoronic? So go ahead and share your. So what's your answer? You know what an oxymoron is? If you know it, then the answer should be easy. So oxymoron is defined as a phrase in which two words of opposite meanings, are brought together, are used together. For example, when you call someone pretty ugly, so you notice in a way that's oxymoron. Or if I say this is your only choice, now only and choice are contradictory because choice means that you have some more things present. Or how about this one? This is an open secret. Right? I was reading this book which had this eloquent silence. Oof. So such expressions are called oxymorons, and if you look at this particular set of options, then winter kept us warm. Winter is supposed to cool you or warm you. You definitely have two contradictory ideas happening here. Yes, it's like Bengali vegetarian is an oxymoron. Oh. In a way, yes, you are right. You are right. Brad Jacob, world over, people think that eggs are vegetarian. It's only in our part of the world that people happen to have a different notion. So A definitely has this. To contradictory things happening together. Do we have any such thing in C? Some of us have also picked up C. A little life with dried tubers. No, look at the context of the poem. A little life with dried tubers. Earth in forgetful snow, feeding a little life with dried tubers. There is nothing wrong with it. You can feed life with dried vegetables. So no contradiction here per se. Drank coffee and talked for an hour, no contradiction. In the mountains, there you feel free, no contradiction. And that is why a little life. It's not little life. It is a little life. Moreover, in the context of the passage, feeding a little life with dried tubers. It's not contradictory. Okay. You'd have something like, remember zombies. Zombies are described as the walking dead. Or the undead. So there you can probably use it, but a little life is not contradictory, and that is why our answer here should be A. And that's about the questions that I brought you. And because we read a poem in the last, I thought that the thought that I share with you after each one of my sessions, I thought that should also be in a poetical format. So I am going to show you a haiku. A haiku is a type of poem, and here it is. It's written by a very famous haiku guy, Katsushika Okusai. I write, erase, rewrite. Erase again and then a poppy blooms. So when I read this, it basically tells me or reminds me that I need to keep putting in the efforts. If I keep doing that, something magical is going to happen to me. And I hope that something magical goes on to happen to each one of you as well. And once again, we have this last lap to XAT going on at 7 p.m. today on this BYJU'S exam prep channel. We are going to look at some critical reasoning questions. So if CR is what bothers you, please attend this session, and I definitely free you up well in time for your party. Okay, it's not going to be a matter of yes, Yashasvi, you can call them a Japanese dohe with one notable exception. दोहे में होती है 2 लाइन्स, इसमें होती है 3 और एक स्पेसिफिक मीटर होता है. सो दोहे तो नहीं, बट ट्रिपलेट्स, कपलेट्स तो नहीं, पर ट्रिपलेट्स बोल दें. And they can at times be very deep and soul stirring. Okay, and with that, we have plenty of mocks for all the other mock tests as well. We still have CMAT and Maharashtra CET coming. Okay, so make sure that you purchase this if you need more practice. And if you know anybody who's preparing for CAT 23, don't forget to let them know of us. In the meanwhile, if you have any other question, you can follow us at any of these places and drop us your questions there. The Telegram group is going to make it really, really very easy for you. So, sociopath has a query. In the mountains there you feel low can be oxymoronic. You can, yes, maybe. I mean, they are high and you feel low. So perhaps yes. Right. So that's it for this particular session. I look forward to meeting you guys once again real soon. And when we meet, in fact, we'd meet at 7. When we meet, we'd go ahead and work on critical reasoning. And thereafter, there are plenty of more sessions to come. I think I'd take another one on decision making on hopefully the 2nd. So until then, stay safe, stay focused, party responsibly, and stay in touch. Take care.